Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, and today we are watching another video from the Force Gaming, from the Chris. Subscribe and like my channel. Definitely subscribe and like the Chris video and Chris channel. And let's see, today we are talking about the Marathon, right? The AAA shooter and some news about that. I don't know nothing about that. This channel obviously about the MMORPGs, but MMOs in general, we need to understand how they works. Well, let's see.
I will happily admit that I am just generally optimistic about gaming. I'm always hopeful anytime any new game gets announced. I want it to be good, right? But it's not very often that I can look at the announcement of a new game and say this will 100% without question be a very good game. It's going to be super fun to play and it'll probably end up being a massive hit to the point of being at or near the top of its respective genre. I can't say that for every game, even though I'd love every game to be that, but I can with full confidence say that very thing for Marathon. Why?
Okay, why?
Well, because of the developer, Bungie, pretty much. They have over 20 years under their belt of releasing exactly that. Very good, fun to play.
But they did the Destiny 2, right? And I think, Destiny franchise, and I think Destiny is a good game. I played it, Destiny 1 for like a month or so, and I really liked it. It's like, for me, it's like Diablo type of the game, but the shooter, pretty interesting, pretty repetitive, but still interesting. And yeah, Bungie is a good developer. Let's see.
Massively successful games that garner a huge fan base. They are, of course, best known for the 2001 release of Halo Combat Evolved, a
I didn't know that. Okay.
game that was often credited for vastly improving and popularizing first-person shooters for consoles. The way the game was designed, how it played, its control scheme, the multiplayer, everything really raised the bar for a new industry standard for what console FPS could be and what it eventually ended up becoming. They then followed that up with the massively successful Halos 2, 3, ODST, and Reach.
Shit, I didn't know that Bungie is the Halo developers. Okay.
After which, releasing Destiny in 2014, which once again marked the start of a new, very popular franchise.
Right.
At this point, Destiny 2 being easily one of the biggest games of its type on the market. And you know it's massively successful because it's one of those games that you constantly hear people complaining about. The same people who can't stop playing. And that is the sign of a generally good and popular game.
It's the same for the World of Warcraft. Everybody complaining about it. Like every time the new DLC came, everybody complained. But we still playing World of Warcraft. Well,
as far as I'm concerned, because if the game's not good and it's not popular, nobody's here to complain about it because nobody cares. That's one of those funny things. The more often you hear people complaining about the game, a game that's been out for a long time, probably the better it is, because those are the same people who are addicted to constantly playing it. But anyways, Bungie's newest game, Marathon, I would say has a fairly high chance of being a good game, solely based on the developer's track record. On top of that, they're also taking a stab at the extraction shooter genre, a relatively new in the grand scheme.
Okay, so they are doing the extraction shooter, which is, I pretty like the idea. I mean, Tarkov, the streams about Tarkov is really interactive and fun to see. To watch, right? And but we don't have much shooters like that. Hunt Showdown, well, I don't like the setting. The new game from the Dr. Disrespect, what is the name of the game is Dead Drop, and I like it, really like it. So if they will do something in their level in the extraction shooter, it will be cool.
Scheme of things, type of multiplayer shooter that's been gaining a lot of popularity, of course, with well-known examples being Escape from Tarkov, Hunt Showdown, or dare I say it, Dark and Darker. Keeping my fingers crossed that that game actually eventually
Dark and Dark, man, I want this game to launch. I want to play this game.
Gets released and isn't stuck in litigation forever. But yeah, there's already a slew of studios lining up to take a piece of the extraction shooter pie. I would say in similar vein to what we've seen with MMOs and MOBAs and Battle Royales, we're getting a repeat of that process. Most of them will probably release and then dwindle, but some of them will turn into a League of Legends, will turn into a Fortnite, and Marathon could be the extraction shooter version.
Oh, in Dota 2.
of that game. I'm going to jump into all of the details about this, but first, a word from today's sponsor. Today's video is brought to you once again by the longtime sponsor of the channel, Ridge Wallet. These are durable, built to last, with a slick, minimalistic design to help streamline what you carry. For the longest time, I used the typical trifold wallet, and I always managed to fill it with junk that I never really needed or used. Well, with my Ridge Wallet, which I've had for about a year and a half now, I just carry what I need. I got a few cards, my ID, and on the rare occasion I'm carrying cash, there's a strap on the back that does just the trick. Ridge Wallet's list of features include holding up to 12 cards. They're made of durable material and come with both a lifetime warranty and a 99-day risk-free trial. They're also made with RFID blocking technology and offer a wide assortment to pick from with over 30 different colors and styles. Not too long ago, they also started selling key cases that can secure 2 to 6 keys with these premium metal plates and patent-pending tension plate system, making them both discreet and easy to use.
I mean, it's a sponsor of the video, right? So the guy will say whatever they want to say, but well, that's okay.
So if you're interested in checking out Ridge Wallets or any of their line of products, head on over to ridge.com/force. Using my code FORCE at any time.
They have a knife. This one, I like it.
And we'll get you a 10% discount on any purchase. Okay, so what do we know about Marathon?
Yes, please.
Well, during the game's announcement, Bungie described Marathon as a new sci-fi PvP extraction shooter where you compete for survival, riches, and renown in a world of evolving, persistent zones where any run can lead to greatness. All of which
I like that this is sci-fi because I already used to this, like, you know, Warzone 2, Escape of Tarkov. I like something from the future, and Bungie obviously can do good stuff about the future, like Destiny, right?
Sounds fairly in line with what most...
And Halo. And Halo. Hello. And Halo, as we know right now.
Extraction shooters deliver. The biggest standout from this quote here being the mention of persistent zones. Many games that I've played in the genre will either have single lobbies per match. You just drop in with X number of other people, you do the extraction thing, and then you leave, and then that lobby is gone forever. Or they'll have things like maps that will rotate on timers, be that every few hours, every couple of days, or even ones that last weeks or months. The idea of having zones that are just there permanently, but then having these dynamic elements with things likely like respawning NPCs or events that come in and out or loot that comes back and resources, but having an otherwise like permanent world, that's a pretty neat way to do it. I don't think it's the first game, but it's an approach to the genre that I do appreciate.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like in Hunt Showdown or in Tarkov, you're going to the mission and everybody going to the mission, right? And in the Marathon, as I understand from Chris, they will have the permanent, it will be like the zone, like in a more PG, and you can go there and you have like events and quests there, but it will be not the lobby, which is pretty interesting. But the thing is how they will do that. You will go to the lobby. Okay, they will have instances, right? So many people playing and they will split by instances. So you anyway will have like 20, 30 people or something relevant for the map. It could be good. Okay.
Coming in at that angle. The game's backdrop and setting are that there's this massive ghost ship that's hanging in low orbit over a colony where 30,000 souls vanished without a trace. We got strange signals coming from this planet with hints at the location of mysterious artifacts, dormant AI, and troves of untold riches. We will be playing as these cybernetic mercenaries called Runners, who either working solo or with the crew will venture out into the unknown to fight for survival.
And I like the style. It's like a trend right now with this style. Sorry, I need to drop my notifications. So I like the style. It's the obvious trend right now with the hyenas, the battle royale game, right? What is that? The finals. It's like the bright colors and all this stuff. But that's cool. I don't think that everybody should be realistic like Tarkov or Warzone, which is not realistic. But anyway.
Rival riches, fame, and infamy. It's pretty clear here that they want to early on set the expectation that this game is going to be full of mysteries and stuff to discover, and likely secrets that require some figuring out beyond the simple of, oh, I've got a key card and I open the door, or I pick up and loot a container or a chest or whatever. Now, these sort of like in-game hidden secrets, in and out of game hidden secrets and mysteries are something that Bungie has played with in pretty much all of their successful games. Halo had stuff like the hidden skulls. Destiny has been full of secrets and things for the player base to discover over the years, and they are clearly continuing.
the setting is really close to the Destiny, a really close one. And that's actually good because they know how to do it, right?
Continuing that tradition with Marathon. In fact, they've already gotten started by releasing an ARG that members of the community solved in about a week after the reveal of the game. I was also pleased here to hear them announce the mention of solo support. I love playing these kinds of games solo. A lot of games, actually, a lot of multiplayer games. I like the solo version of that experience. This type of game in particular, though, I feel like it really adds to the tension and the thrill of it all. Kind of turns it into a bit more of like a horror game. I'll be interested to see what they plan to do for balancing things like solo versus group play. I am also curious of what they're planning for numbers and like instancing in this game. Like what's the size of the world, the number of maps or zones as they call it. Is it one huge massive world or lots of broken up zones with phased instances that we're going in and out of? Many questions still to be answered. Some of which we did get some hints at in the developer video. They released this shortly after revealing the game. They were speaking generally about Marathon, but did also give a few bits of information here.
In Bungie's next game, we're combining the rich history of Marathon with a PvP extraction shooter where players get to be part of the narrative.
This players being part of the narrative is something they play into a lot and they discuss in various interviews and later on in this video. Actions that people
if you've got more than enough money coming in each month,
you know what to do, right? Please subscribe to the channel. I need money for YouTube Premium.
if I clinically
take are going to be almost immortalized within the game, and you'll see why here in a second.
You make the best things on the shoulders of giants, and in our case those giants are Halo and Destiny. The team's been leveraging 30 years of experience and innovation and passion to create Marathon.
Now on the plus side of this,
I mean, when you hear something like that from the developers that delivered already many times, you're like, okay, like we don't know anything about this game. It looks like just the slow-mo videos we have right now, and that's all. And you know, these videos are pre-rendered, they're super cool and etc. In game, it could be shit, but at least the developers know what they do.
They're leveraging their experience in creating gunplay and gameplay that feels really good. And that is one of those things that I'm almost certain of. That's my expectation level. Halo gameplay always felt good. I feel the same way about Destiny as well. And that's what leads to my general confidence in the game that they'll probably be able to re-deliver that with Marathon as well.
You're going to be able to both visually represent yourself in really interesting ways, but then also there's going to be gameplay modifications, which is going to be awesome. And it means that you and the other two people on your crew can pick your different play styles. I think the runners are going to be a really great way for players to shape their gameplay.
Gameplay modifications, picking different play styles. We got some leaked information that basically hints to the fact that yes, there's going to be things like abilities and perks within the game. I'll touch on that in a few minutes.
Like it.
Tau Ceti is a varied, vibrant, and dangerous world.
We wanted to make sure this world pushed back on you in the right amount.
And I really hope they lean into that. I really like environmental dangers. In a recent extraction shooter that I played, the Cycle Frontier, they did stuff like having these lightning storms and meteorites that would fall from the sky that could damage you and things that would change the environment in the world. So outside of any AI threats that they're going to have in the game, which it has been confirmed there will be AI, and then obviously the PvP threats, give us the environmental threats, give us storms, give us tornadoes, give us meteorites, give us the floor is lava, just do that.
We're combining the best of that Bungie touch and feel gameplay, but we're adding that incredible tension. And
so you also will have a chance, like in the Warzone, you know, to like in Tarkov, to do your guns. Actually, for the extraction shooter is the big part of the game, right? You extract parts, you customize your weapon, and then you customize your playstyle. And I like that you have skills. What interesting for me, will you have classes? Or it will be abilities that you need to choose. Like, that's interesting.
And these emotional highs and lows.
We want that kind of just surprising, dangerous mystery. Imagine going into this basement of one of the colony buildings and it's like flooded with water, murkiness. It's too quiet. Just the sloshing of your footsteps. Around the corner, you see some beam of green light. And you're like, oh no, what is that?
Yeah, and those sort of tense moments is exactly what makes extraction shooters so great. You go into a world and everything's quiet, but you hear that movement, that shuffle, and that audio stuff is a big part of this genre. Hearing someone line up.
Sorry, is it sponsored video? Because he's too optimistic about the game. No, it is not.
their laser sight, or hearing
He's
someone
too optimistic.
adjust
The Chris
from
too
at the hip
optimistic.
to aim
I'm
down
not so
sights.
optimistic. I'm not so optimistic about it because we don't know anything. The developer is good. Well, let's see.
It's just a really type of intense, unique experience that extraction shooters can deliver.
What runners are doing is gonna be that exciting narrative that unfolds over the course of a season.
Probably not much of a surprise, but this right
Seasons.
here just confirms, like, yes, this will be a live service game. They will be doing a seasonal structure. Obviously, like, they've had great success on that with Destiny. That will continue because, hey, it's a great way for the studio to make a lot of money. So seasons are going to be a thing.
Imagine if
And I'm okay with seasons. Like, seasons give us new content every season, right? New events and new stuff. That's good.
one crew happens to find an alien key. They place it on this altar, and then they get memorialized for opening up the next zone. And they have to go and figure out how to then unlock that for everybody else.
So two things here. For one, that is amazing. I love that the game is going to launch with these maps that will have areas that are restricted until players discover ways to open it. That is phenomenal. The second part where he says they're going to have to figure out how to unlock it for everyone else. I mean, I just presume if you're the group who first gets to an area and unlocks it before everyone else, you're not going to be in a rush to open it up for everyone else. I mean, maybe you have to in order to actually use it. I don't know, but I just thought that was a little funny.
There's a lot of ways to feel like you can win this game. Obviously, getting out alive is the primary one. You can win by getting out with the most artifacts. Each piece of an artifact you find in the world combines into creating bigger, more valuable artifacts.
So they bring up this artifact thing a lot, but it is never specified in my research exactly what this is. I'm just going to assume these are like valuables that you can probably trade in for currency, or it's going to be some sort of resource that feeds into the progression systems, unlocks something along those lines.
I've had a run where I've got all the pieces to get a prime artifact. I could get out, I could win, and then I hear gunfire in a building nearby, and I know I just need one more piece to get that prime. And that's a decision that we want players to have to make.
Yeah, and that's the basic like risk versus.
That's cool. Like, they exaggerate your, expand your willing to get one more. Not just like, I will take this and go. As I understand, if you will take the small piece, it will be like 4 small pieces in your inventory when you extract 4 times with the small ones. To extract a big one, you needed to do it in one session, in one game. So it became more tough.
First reward calculation that really makes part of what makes extraction shooters so exciting. How do you want to stay longer? Do you want to go for that extra building to try to get more loot? Do you want to engage in that fight to see what you can loot off of the player, or do you just want to get out with what you have? That's the whole push and pull, and again, what makes this a very exciting genre to play.
There's just so many different ways you can be famous or infamous. Did you help somebody who really needed help? Or you became world's first because you unlocked the zone, or you are the best runner in the world because you've climbed the leaderboard all the way to the top rank and everybody knows it.
So this is very cool. We know that they're going to have leaderboards and there's going to be some sort of presentation on that so people can see you at the top of the leaderboards. And we also know that
So basically it's rank system, and I like it as well. Like when you have a chance to stand out, and people will try to do it, right?
they do intend to immortalize the players who unlock access to additional zones, additional parts of the map. See what they do for like name filtering so that the person who unlocks the next zone isn't like Big D69 or something like that. You know, we'll see how they sort through that mess. Good luck, Bungie.
With Marathon, Bungie is very clearly focusing on PvP. And so from the ground up, the integrity of the experience has been absolutely critical. And it was non-negotiable that Bungie was going to be investing in dedicated servers for Marathon, disconnect recovery, and fog of war. Like without those elements, none of this matters.
We actually have a dedicated team in charge of security and making sure the game is as fair as possible.
So they're just saying what you expect them to say. They're going to do their best to combat hacking and cheating, because if you feel like you're constantly dying to cheaters, really kills the motivation to play a game like this, especially
like a month ago in Tarkov, right? The guy who showed the video about he became a cheater and he showed other cheaters in the game. The statistic is about 80% of the players are cheating. I mean, 80, right? And after that, I didn't even think to come back to Tarkov, because why? It's like all the cheaters. Security in these games is really crucial.
with such heavy losses, which comes with the loss of loot and currency. And as is the case with pretty much every competitive multiplayer game, it is always going to be an uphill battle, a cat and mouse game where the cheaters are getting ahead of the developers catch up and ban the cheaters, and then the cheaters figured out what they used to catch them, and so they develop additional cheats. Although, to their credit, Bungie has been pretty aggressively in the form of lawsuits going after cheat makers and cheat distributors. So they're definitely putting in their due diligence in that sense. But that of course doesn't mean a guaranteed cheat-free game. Are there cheat-free multiplayer games? 100% cheat-free multiplayer games, popular ones? I don't know, not to my knowledge. But the best we can hope for is that they continue to try to keep up and continue playing that cat and mouse game and try to stay on top of it.
You know what, right? What to do right now? To go there and click the button. Okay?
We are marching towards our alpha, which is really exciting.
We wish we could show you all the cool stuff that we're working on right now, but we can't do it just yet.
After this announcement, we are going to go dark for a while, for an extended period, while we focus on developing and playtesting the game.
Oh, I got one. One second.
Next time you hear from us, we're going to be much closer to release, and we will be ready to reveal gameplay.
All right, so that was the developer info. A lot of interesting stuff there and a lot of gleaned information about the game. We also did have an interview. Now, the only official one that I could find was actually over on the PlayStation blog. A lot of it was pretty basic stuff. Like, they mentioned how hard it was to keep the game's development a secret, which they didn't entirely do. I'll tell you about here in a moment. They also talked about what they're pulling from the original Marathon games, some of their earlier titles as a studio. Namely, they're keeping things like a lot of the mythology and the backstory, the themes in the world, while then also bringing a lot of new stuff to it because, yes, the prior game wasn't an extraction shooter. And they also are talking about how they're trying to make sure this feels like a Bungie game, and what that means is having incredible weapon and gameplay feel, an evocative world that they're building up this rich.
Yeah, like gunfights and the game feel and the Destiny, it's pretty good, right?
Lore and immersion, and lots of opportunity for adventure and discovery. They also touch on the fact that there will be no single-player campaign because this is a PvP-focused game. There is PvE in the form of AI, but PvP is the primary focus, and that they're building this world of persistent, evolving zones. So that example, like, again, a crew discovering an artifact that opens up an entirely new area for the map for players to discover. There was also an extended version of that interview with a few more details over on bungie.net, but where actually the most interesting stuff comes from, though, is the leaked information that we've got, primarily which is coming out of Inside Gaming over the course of this past year. So back in October 2022, they actually correctly predicted that Bungie was rebooting the Marathon franchise as a 3-man squad extraction-based shooter. I'm pretty sure they were the first ones to leak this information, and as we know now, it is 100% accurate because Blizzard has come out and announced Marathon is exactly that. Now, at the time of this leaked report, they said that the game was in pre-alpha and would likely be announced soon. They also mentioned that the gameplay loop, unsurprisingly, would be similar to most extraction shooters. Choose a mission, buy and choose your loadout, drop in on a map, hunt for loot while completing missions, and then try to extract safely. So that was October of last year, and then like a month and a half or 2 months ago, Blizzard officially announces and reveals Marathon, and then mid-June, a few weeks after the official reveal, Inside Gaming was back with more leaked information that went back to their sources, this time diving much further into the gameplay loop, features, and progression of the game. So the core gameplay loop, which basically means what are you consistently doing over and over again while you play the game, it looks like this. You start off by choosing a mission. You'll be in some sort of a hub area. You pick the missions that you want to complete while you're actually in and playing the game. These will likely reward experience and currency, resources, and loot. Then after you pick the missions you want to do, you will be buying and choosing your loadout, perks, abilities, and gear that you want to drop into the mission with, at which point you select.
So the crazy thinking is not a classes system. It's just that you choose the person you go with. Like you choose the body with what body you go with, right? Because it's Android.
Select and drop into the server, and then you do the actual game playing part, which is hunting for loot, completing those missions, fighting other players, exploring, and finding secrets. At some point, you will have to extract. And
yeah, it just should be more realistic than Destiny because it's extraction shooter. It could be jumps, sprints, everything, but like the gunfight should be more realistic, not just you have like 1000 shield, you have HP, you're just running, gunning, and then it's whatever, who wins, the guy wins. But it should be more fast. It should be more realistic regarding the gunfights only. But with all the skills, it should be like Apex Legends. For me, it's like Apex Legends.
And this is tied into the oxygen system in terms of when you are going to be needing to do this. And once you extract, you will spend experience on various upgrades, and then you repeat this over again. Choose new missions, choose your loadout, perks, abilities, and gear, drop into the server, hunt, kill, extract, so on and so on. They learned about a few different systems, which are pretty interesting. For one, there's going to be an oxygen system. When players drop in, they have a limited oxygen supply that essentially acts as a match timer. So once
that's actually a pretty simple but good idea.
you run out of oxygen, you will slowly begin to lose health. Players, however, can find O2 canisters in the middle of the match, or you can also bring additional oxygen with you before dropping in, extending the time in which you can stay on the surface before having to extract. There's also going to be an injury system, so certain injuries, depending on where you get shot or what.
That's good. That's what I'm talking about. The more realistic system for the extraction shooters is a must.
Whatever are going to cause you to suffer different effects. So as an example, being shot in the waist might damage your oxygen supply, causing the timer to deplete faster, or maybe you become concussed somehow, which will cause your screen to periodically blur. There's going to be an ability and perk system, so perks will include things like faster revives, using less O2 while you're on the surface, faster movement while in the water, etc. And then there are going to be abilities like night vision. That's the only one that they gave an example of, but different abilities that you can activate while you're playing. Also, for replayability, they say that the maps are going to have a ton of different secrets for players to explore, and they'll likely be adding more of these throughout the seasons. Secrets like, as we've talked about, opening access to new areas. There are 3 different types of loot or items for people to collect. There is the loot, and then implants and perks. There's also going to be permadeath, not surprising. Most extraction shooters have this. Now, with this system, it is a semi-loss, so they said you will lose loot upon death, and this would be things like items and currencies. You will sometimes lose your implants, but you will never lose your perks. So they're going to be different tiers of like account progression.
Okay, so that is good. Like you will have the progression system. I really like it. It's not just that you every time that you
lose some of the basic stuff, but there's many stuff you'll also carry over. And they did say as well, their sources, that while the game is primarily focused on those 3-person squads, they do let you jump in duo or solo. However, apparently there aren't going to be separate servers, and if you go in duo or solo, you will be facing off against those larger teams. And then lastly, they were told that Bungie is developing 3 different maps for the release of the game, although they weren't sure if all 3 maps will make it in for launch. So that is quite a bit of information out of this, and given that they were spot on with those October leaks about the fact that Marathon was even a game that existed and that it was a 3-person extraction-based shooter. They were 100% accurate with this, like 7 or 8 months before the game was officially announced. That leads me to be pretty confident in this additional leaked information that they gave about the various systems and the core loop of the game, all of which is sounding pretty cool. In terms of when we get to play this game, really no guess, no idea. Bungie did say at the end of that developer video that they're going to be going quiet for now until they get much closer to release. They've got more information to share, and that they'll actually be showing us some gameplay. I'm hoping 2024. That sounds like a great thing. I am so tired of games being announced and then taking like 5 to 10 years before we can play them. I don't expect this to be that bad. I would guess at most 2 years. I feel like Bungie is in the position where they're going to turn this around pretty quickly. Either maybe a mid to late 2024 or sometime in early to mid 2025. That would be just my shot in the dark guess. I do want to say as well, though, before we wrap up,
it's like logical. When you have the alpha, now they have alpha instead, or pre-alpha at least. Alpha is already like the MVP is done, and they are doing the content right now. They are taking things, they're changing the game, gameplay mechanics. So they need like a year or so to polish the game. If the game is good, if the game have pretty big gaps, they will need a year and a half to 2 years. So they are 24, and I think it's realistically but optimistically.
I am very excited for this game. I think it looks and sounds great from everything.
I can say that the guy just like Halo, like Destiny, I like the developers, right? Chris like the developers. I don't have such warm feeling for them in my heart, but I think that this is good developers. So I really will interested to try it. And what do you think, guys? Put in the comment your thoughts.
we've seen, and more importantly, Bungie's history speaks for itself. I am fairly confident this will be a fun game to play, and it's probably going to be a success for all of the reasons that I mentioned prior. It has nothing to do with the cinematic or the teaser trailer or how much or little we know about the game, which we know very little beyond those leaks. It's just Bungie's made phenomenal games over these past 20 years, and they've all been pretty much massively successful. So I'm not surprised. I would not be surprised if this is also that. But I do want to add, I would say there's a tinge of disappointment for me personally that they didn't stray further from the well-worn territory of a sci-fi space shooter. You know, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. This is what Bungie's great at. As they said, they're...
Yeah, I think the opposite. They're great in that. I like sci-fi shooters. I already bored of all these realistic shooters.
Standing on the shoulders of giants, those giants being themselves and their past work. They know how to do this type of game and setting very well. And yes, visually, Marathon is distinct enough from Destiny or Halo, but it is also pretty similar, right? Like when I saw that floating ghost ship and the planet, you could have told me this was from a Destiny expansion and I probably would have believed you. But anyways, the main thing is I was just really hoping, personally, selfishly, to get a fantasy game from Bungie. If they took everything they do so well with Destiny and...
Okay, I mean, yeah, we have zero fantasy games, and we like fantasy games, right? Yeah, Dark and Darker. But the quality of Dark and Darker is indie game. I mean, you know, and if somebody will do the fantasy game, it will be a good one in this genre.
And put it in a fantasy setting with melee and magic being at the focus, like an MMO light from Bungie with dungeons, raids, skeletons, mages, and knights. That is still a dream of mine. That's not what Marathon is, and that's fine. I'm still looking forward to Marathon. But one day, Bungie, I would love if you were to make a fantasy game, because your gameplay is top-notch. It would be cool to see it in a fantasy world. But either way, yes, I'm looking forward to Marathon. I cannot wait to get my hands on it. Next year would be great, but we'll see. I'll keep you guys up to date. That's going to do it for today. Thank you, as always, for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Take it easy.
Thank you, Chris. As always, you're doing a great videos. And like this video don't have any information, like few leaks and few teasers, but the full video is really great. Thank you very much, man. And by the way, what happened to MMOs, I also reacted to this video. You can check it on my channel and Chris' channel. And you guys, thank you very much for watching, and I hope this will be a great game, and I hope we will like it and we will try it, okay? Subscribe, like, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.